Week 9 of the fantasy football season, and here's the top 12 defenses. I'm ranking this week the first one, the Philadelphia Eagles. So this Eagle defense playing great football all year. Great front line, no doubt about it. Robert Quinn now added to the mix last week before the trade deadline. And right here, great matchup with the Houston Texans. And obviously can't score the football. Davis Mills has been pretty bad this season. And the only guy they really got to zero in on this week and try to stop here, in my opinion, is Philly, is Dameon Pierce. So right here, this Eagle defense, they're putting up fantasy points. They're playing great football. And this week, I got them in number 1. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills have a good matchup at the New York Jets here in week 2. I know the Jets, they're playing well this season at 5-3, but their offense has pretty much been a non-issue. And now, especially with Breece Hall out for the season here, it's going to be trouble, I think, for Zach Wilson in this offense to move the football. I know last week he moved it pretty decent versus the New England Patriots, but it was still a tough time. Jets still lost the ball game. And this Bill front line, and with Von Miller rushing the passer and now getting Tre'Davious White possibly back in the lineup as well, could tee off on Zach Wilson in this Jet offense and make him one-dimensional in this one. So this week here, I think, is a big week for the Buffalo Bills. And I got them at 2. Number 3, the New England Patriots. So this Patriot team prides himself on stopping teams and turning the ball over. In the last few weeks here, they're putting up fantasy points. They're getting to the quarterback. They're causing a couple interceptions per game. And this week here versus the youngster Sam Elger, I think this Patriot team has a good ball game, no doubt about it, where I could see them score double-digit fantasy points, get a few interceptions. I wouldn't even be surprised if they find the end zone as well in this one. So right here with a good matchup versus a young quarterback in Elger, who's still trying to get a feel for the game right now. You know, Bill Belichick's going to try to make that offense one-dimensional, where the Patriots could take advantage, and I think they will this week. At number 3, number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. So right here, this is a matchup-based, 1 week only type of defensive play here for me with the Kansas City Chiefs in number 4. So the Tennessee Titans, we know their offense is built, and it's built around one man, Derrick Henry. The wide receivers this season haven't done anything pretty much. Robert Woods has been a bust for this Tennessee Titan team. The rookie Burks, he's been out the last few weeks. And also Westbrook-Ikhine, he's not going to do much. Or Austin Hooper at the tight end position. So right now, if it's going to be Malik Willis or Ryan Tannehill, it don't really matter in my opinion. I think this Chief team obviously is going to zero in on stopping Derrick Henry and making Ryan Tannehill, with a lack of offensive weapons on the outside, try to beat him. So right here, I think this Chief team can make a few plays in this one, turn a couple field balls over in this. And also, coming off the bye week, they're refreshed and ready to go, and probably been game planning for 2 weeks for this one. So right here, I like them at 4. Number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals, just like the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a 1 week only type of play here at the defensive position. And then you drop them back off to the waiver wire. So right here, the Carolina Panthers, we know it's been a struggle for them all season. Even though P.J. Walker's got some life into this offense of late. DJ Moore, he's come back lately with some monster ball games. Devonta Foreman now, the running back over there, with Christian McCaffrey traded away to the 49ers, has 2 ball games in a row over 100 yards rushing. So right here, they're playing decent as Carolina, but Cincinnati, they're back home in this game, and I think their defense is going to have to step up if they want to make another good playoff push this season here. And I think it starts this week with a top 5 performance, and we've seen it early in the season where Cincinnati pounces on a bad offense and has a good game defensively. So this week here, I like them at 5. Number 6, the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens, they've added a nice reinforcement in Roquan Smith in the trade with the Chicago Bears right before the trade deadline here. And this defense, they definitely could go out there and make plays. I know they had a couple bad games where the secondary got torched by the Bills at the end of that ball game. And obviously with Tua and the Dolphins coming back early in the season from 21 points. But right now here on Monday Night Football at the New Orleans Saints, I think they could hold Andy Dalton or Winston in check in this one, whoever's going to start the ball game, and try to stop Alvin Kamara, because this Baltimore team, the last few weeks, the defense has been improving slowly for this team here. I know they blew a couple fourth quarter leads early in the season, but right now, adding a guy like Roquan Smith just improves your defense mightily here. And I like the direction Baltimore's going, and I like the matchup with 10 days of rest as well, playing last Thursday night in Week 8, and then playing here in Week 9 on Monday Night Football. So I got them at 6. Number 7, Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings, great matchup on paper at the Washington Commanders. And this Viking team, they're playing great and very confident right now, 6-1 on the season here. And their defense over the last few weeks have put up great fantasy numbers. They're turning the ball over. They're keeping opponents scoring down. And right now in this ball game, this is what they're going to do once again, I believe. Get off to an early score and make Taylor Heineke and this Washington Commander offense one-dimensional, where the Vikings obviously know they're going to have to throw the football early and often to get back in the ball game. And that's been the game script of late here for this Viking team. So I think once again this week they've been one of the hottest pickups in fantasy football is Minnesota for a reason. And I think once again their defense goes out there and gets the job done, especially 57% of leagues owners have gone out there and got him. So I got him at 7. Number 8, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers, I know it's been a struggle over the last few weeks here, but this Los Angeles Ram offensive line is in shambles here. And this Buck team, they still got guys on the defense. I know Barrett's out for the season with his injury right now for this Tampa Bay Buck team, but they're still a team that prides themselves on defense. That's obviously head coach's Todd Bowles' specialty, and it's just been a hiccup for them over the last few weeks. But right now, the Los Angeles Rams do give up the most fantasy points to DSTs, believe it or not, this season. And I think Tampa Bay, they got something to prove. They got a chip on their shoulder, especially the Rams beating them in the playoffs last season and now losing 3 ball games in a row. So right now, I think Tampa Bay goes out there and has a good ball game, and I definitely have them at number 8 this week. Number 9, the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers, hopefully they got a little healthier during the bye week here, even though we know J.C. Jackson's out for the season, getting hurt in their Week 7 ball game. And now we'll see if Bosa could come back sooner than later. Well, right now, decent matchup versus the Atlanta Falcons this week. And their 1 week use only also is this Los Angeles Charger defense. This Falcon offense isn't all that great. Marcus Mariota, he's not really looking to throw the football. He's looking to run a lot. And obviously, they run the ball a lot with Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley. And we'll see if Cordell Patterson might return in this ball game as well. But right now, I think this Charger team, they know they got to come into this ball game and try to get a victory. After the last few weeks here, it hasn't looked all that great in the ball games they played, getting the doors blown off in Week 7 versus Seattle. So right here, Week 9 in Atlanta, decent matchup. Mariota, he's a quarterback that's definitely mistake-prone and definitely a guy that's not looking to throw the ball. So if they can make him try to throw the ball a lot, if they're down early and often, is Atlanta here. I think that's what this Charger defense is going to do. And right now, they're still out there in over 70% of his fantasy leagues as well. If you need a DST, number 10, the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins, they've been hitting on all cylinders on offense this season, but the defense, only a few games have showed up this year. But right now, a good matchup at the Bears that give up the 5th most fantasy points to defenses on the season. So the Dolphins, they made a monster trade, getting Bradley Chubb at the NFL trade deadline here. And they're going for it all. They got Bradley Chubb in the mix, traded for Jeff Wilson, and this week here, I know Justin Fields has been playing great football, a guy that was down on a lot coming into the season, but now they're starting to put him in situations, is the bad coaching staff, where he could succeed out of the pocket and where he can make plays. But I think still Miami could go out there and make a few plays in Soldier Field, get to Justin Fields a few times with the sacks, because he's definitely a quarterback that still holds the football a lot, and the quick decisions aren't always there, and he's good for a turnover or 2 per game. So right now, Miami, even with a tricky matchup at an athletic quarterback like a Justin Fields here, I got him at 10, especially with a Bradley Chubb on that defense that could get to the quarterback and finish off plays. Number 11, the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers here, this defense over the last few weeks really hasn't done much for fantasy football here, but they got a plus matchup on paper at the Detroit Lions, especially now that the Lions traded TJ Hawkinson away to division rival the Minnesota Vikings. That's one of their better weapons, obviously off the roster and now gone. So right here, Jared Goff, he's been a good quarterback at home this season, and yes, it's a home game for the Detroit Lions, but the Packers, they're another team just like Tampa Bay. They got to wake up and get things going, and I think they are in this one. After losing 4 in a row, something's got to break for this Packer team. We know this Packer team's owned Detroit over the last decade plus, and I think this defense comes in here still available in over 40% of fantasy leagues and has a decent game this week, and I got him at number 11 because I think they could get to Goff a few times, make a few turnovers, and like I said, with Hawkinson out of town, that's definitely a huge loss on that Lion offense. And the 12th and final defense I'm ranking this week's the Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts here, up and down defense, no doubt about it. this season. One great game, one mediocre game, one in-between game, whatever. And this week here, a middle-of-the-pack type of matchup at the Patriots. I give up the 15th most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. So right now, it looks like Mac Jones is back as the starter over there after coming off a big divisional matchup victory versus the New York Jets last week for the New England Patriots. And right here, this Patriot team, they don't have many weapons. Right now, it's pretty much driven, that offense, by Ramondre Stevenson and Jacoby Myers. Everyone else on that offense really hasn't done much. And if Indianapolis could zero in on those guys and make some plays, then this defense could have a good ball game. But right now, I think this Colt team is going to have a mediocre outing, 8-9 fantasy points at most. But I still think they could crack the top 12, and I got them at 12 this week. So that's the top 12 defenses, DST units I'm ranking here for Week 9 of the fantasy football season.